Joseph. Oh, here's another one. Did you ever hear Father Lauro, the Action Priest? He wrote a book. It's called The Action Priest. Father Lauro did a tremendous amount of work over in the war-torn countries. I'm not sure exactly what country it was, but it was during the last Second World War. And he was a pilot. And he told this to me in the presence of Father McNamara. He said he was so disgusted and so disturbed, and it bothered his conscience about being involved in the massacre and the killings. And he said to Christ, he didn't bargain with him, but he said, "Dear Lord, if I will be allowed to survive this war," he said, "I'm going to come back to this country and make restitution for my part in the bombings and killings." So after he got out of the service, he became a priest. But he got a hold of all these buddies who was with him at this particular part of the country, and the handful of guys built huts and made a little, an orphanage for these orphan children. And among one of them was a little girl by the name of Sue Lee, that when her mother was pregnant with her, and the bomb killed the mother, and the child was born out of this birth with no arms and legs. So Father Lauro, there had been 7 surgeries performed on her in the different parts of the world, and no, there's 6, and the 7th surgery was arranged to be performed at the Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago, where I lived. And Father Lauro knew Father McNamara, and he knew what Father McNamara had. And he brought this little Sully, because all the records and the workup had already been sent on to the hospital ahead of time, and Sully was supposed to go into the hospital the next day for this 7th surgery. And he brought Sully. Now, her body was like, I would say, the size of maybe a year-old child, but she was about 12 years old. And he laid her in the lap of Father McNamara, and Father McNamara, someone handed Father McNamara the crucifix in order to let her venerate it. And Father McNamara said in his whole life he never saw such humility out of anyone, an adult or anyone. That child took the crucifix and she kissed the feet of Christ, rather than some people, they slobber all over the face and the mouth and all that. And Father McNamara said to her, Sully, he said, maybe when you wake up tomorrow, your arms and legs will have grown. And she said, oh, Father. She just believed it, and she said, oh, you're just telling me a child's story. And the workup, the attendants had given her medication and what was needed before surgery. She was rolled in the cart up into the operating room, and when the surgeon who was prepared to operate on her pulled the sheet back, her arms and legs had miraculously grown. Completely, Father. And that girl today, first of all, this particular day, she then they put her in a Catholic into a convent, and she had her education there. And this very dear friend of mine, McGuire's, she went to the father and daughter's dance with him. No one could believe that this girl at one time had no arms or no legs. And the day I went to visit Father McNamara, he said, Mary, it's sad. He said, Sully just left her. She's on her way going to New Jersey. She was going to be a medical assistant at a hospital in New Jersey because some members of a family that she knew was going to have her live with them. But I understand now that she's at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. I only found that out. I made several phone calls trying to talk to different people to recapture certain dates and incidences. And I understand that she's up in Rochester, Minnesota, so I'm going to try and get a hold of her. But that day when she visited Father McNamara, she said, Father, I come to say goodbye. But before I go, she said, I want to know what can I do for you for all that you've done for me. And he said, there's nothing that I need or nothing that you can do for me. And she said, there must be. I've got to do something, Father. He said, all right, you write the story of what happened to you for your people, for their faith. So I want to find out whether or not she wrote that book, and see, that was one of Father's great miracles.